Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, in this session I'm just going to discuss some of the problems based on permutation and combinations sent by students. And before you come for this doubt solving session, you must attend the basic sessions and the advanced session of permutation and combination. Right? You should be cleared with your basics before you come for this session. Okay, so because I'll be taking the problems directly, I'm not going to discuss the concepts once again. Okay, so let's begin. Now friends, let's see this problem. A two-member committee comprising of one male and one female member is to be constituted out of 5 males and 3 females. Amongst the females, Mrs. A refused to be a member of the committee in which Mr. B is taken as the member. In how many different ways can the committee be constituted? Now the problem is simple, bit twisted, but not that difficult. We have to take two cases, right? Now the association of Mrs. A depends upon Mr. B, right? If Mr. B is there, Mrs. A will not be there, right? So first case we take Mr. B is there, right? Now if Mr. B, since we wish to choose just one male and one female, now we have already chosen as Mr. B as male member of the committee. So for male we just have one choice. Now for females, in all we have 3 females, right? But Mrs. A has already refused to be with Mr. B. Now since we have taken Mr. B, Mrs. A will not be part of the committee. So we just have 2 choices for females, right? So in all there are 2 ways when Mr. B is there, right? Suppose the 3 females are maybe Mrs. A, Mrs. B and Mrs. C, right? Mrs. A has refused, so Mrs. B and Mrs. C, 2 choices we have with Mr. B. Okay, so this is second case when Mr. B is not there. Now what will happen in this case? Say we have 5 males, right? Now we are not including Mr. B. Now we have choice of 4 males, right? Now with these 4 males there is no restriction of females, right? Any female can be member of the committee. For females we have 3 choices, right? So if Mr. B is there we have 2 choices. If Mr. B is not there we have 12 choices. So in all we have 14 ways. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now this problem, 2 men and 1 woman board a bus in which 5 seats are vacant. One of these 5 seats is reserved for ladies. A woman may or may not sit on the seat reserved for ladies, but a man cannot sit on the seat reserved for ladies. In how many different ways can the 5 seats occupied by these passengers? Once again, our problem is simple. Suppose we have these 5 seats and suppose this is reserved, right? One particular seat is reserved, so I assume this to be reserved. Now we are left with the 4 seats for males and 1 for female. Now what we take 2 cases, right? Woman may or may not sit reserved for ladies, right? Suppose in the first case I assume the lady is sitting on the reserved seat. Lady on reserved seat, right? Now one lady is there, she is sitting on the reserved seat. Now there are 4 vacant seats and 2 men are there. So out of these 4, 2 seats are selected for these 2 men, and there are 2 factorial arrangement for these 2 men. First we are selecting, then we are arranging, right? So this entire thing is the permutation, right? But first of all what we are doing, out of these 4 seats we are selecting 2 seats. In 2 seats 2 men can sit in 2 factorial manner, right? So this is the first case. So 4C2 into 2 factorial. 4C2 is 4 into 3 by 2 and this is 2. So it's in all 12, right? When lady is sitting on the reserved seat. If this lady is not sitting on the reserved seat, that means nobody else can occupy this seat because there is just one woman and nobody is sitting on this seat, that means all the all this 2 men and one woman, all of them are sitting in these 4 places. Okay, so out of these 4 places we need to select 3 places. In the 3 places for 2 women and 2 men and 1 woman, in these 3 places these 3 person can sit in 3 factorial manner. Okay, so 4c3 is 4, 3 factorial is 6, in all it is 24. So either this or this, so 12 plus 24, 36 ways will be there to make this arrangement. Okay, and in this case obviously this reserved seat will be vacant. Now this problem, 3 students are picked at random from a school having a total of 1000 students. The probability that these 3 students will have identical date and month of their birth. Now what is happening? Since we have to find out the probability, the total number of possible cases will be 1000 C3. That means 3 students are selected at random from 1000 students. So these are the total possible ways. Now these 3 students should have identical date and month of their birth. Suppose the first student has 365 choice. Obviously, because he can have any birthday, any date or month, maybe 1st October, maybe 31st December, whatever, right? Now the second one, so he has 365 choices. The first one has 365 choices. Second one has just one choice, because whatever the date and month of this particular child is, the same should be of this one, right? For the third one also, right? Since all of them should be having the same date and month. So for the first one 365 choice are there, for the second one it's same, for the third one they don't have any choice, right? So it is 365 by 1000 C3. Now we if we calculate this, we cannot get any of these options, right? Because 1000 C3 will produce 999 and 998. So the calculation of the denominator will be very big. So no need to solve, it's none of these. Okay. Now let's see this problem, an interesting one. In a question of a test paper, there are 5 items each under list A and list B. The examinees are required to match each item under list A with its corresponding correct item under list B. Further, it is given that no examinee has given the correct answer and answers of no 2 examinee are identical. What is the maximum number of examinees who took this test? Now before I solve this problem, I just take a small example, maybe 1 or 2 small examples, so you can understand this concept. Suppose we have in list A and list B we have 2 questions, right? Suppose A, B and P, Q, right? Now the first student, he will match AP and BQ. Second student will match AQ and BP, right? At least obviously one of them has to be correct. This is the first student, this is the second student, right? So how many ways are there of matching? 2 ways, because none of them are making the same or identical answers, right? None of them are giving identical answers, right? So we have 2 options. Similarly, if we talk about 3 questions, that is A, B, C, P, Q, R, right? 3 in list A, 3 in list B, right? Now first student, suppose he makes AP, BQ and CR. Second student is matching, suppose AP we take it as it is, instead of BQ we take BR and CQ, right? Similarly we take AQ, so if we take AQ, BP and CR and BR and CP. The same thing is for AR. If we take AR, it is BP, CQ or BQ, CP. Now these are the total possibilities. That means if there are 3 questions of this type, matching questions, then we have 6 ways when none of the 2 students are making the same answer, right? But one of them has to be correct, because we have mentioned over here all the possible combinations, right? When no 2 combinations are same, all these 6 are different from each other. Okay, so one has to be correct, one and exactly one has to be correct, right? So if no examinee has given the correct answer, that means total, suppose this is the correct answer. In all, there are 6 ways of making the answer. This is the correct answer. That means the total number of examinees are 5 if there are 3 questions in this list. Okay, now same thing we go for 5 students, right? Now how do we get this? Every time we cannot make these many combinations. For 5 students we are not going to make these many combinations. So what I do is, to make it very simple, I choose A. A has 3 options to make the combination: AP, AQ and AR, right? Now A has made combination with any one of them. Now B cannot make the combination with the one with which A is making. So B is left with 2 combinations, right? Now C cannot make the combination with A's and B's, so it has left with just 1 combinations. So in all you'll be getting 6 combinations like this. Okay, that means there are 6 students, but none of them have given the correct answer, so -1 in all. There are 5 students if we have 3 items in list A and 3 items in list B. So for 3 persons we have 3 into 2 into 1, that means 3 factorial ways. So for 5, I'm sorry, not persons, 3 questions or 3 matches. So similarly for 5 matches we have 5 factorial total number of matches, that is 120. But 1 and exactly 1 will be the same, and we are asked that no examinee has given the correct answer. So one of them will be correct, definitely exactly 1 will be correct. So I deduct 1. So in all there are 119 students who took this test or who attempted this question. Okay, so that's very simple. I have given the example of 2 questions, that means 2 matches. I have taken the example of 3 matches, and then we generalize that for 5 matches, right? Any number of matches can be done this way. Okay, now we see this problem. A square is divided into 9 identical small squares. 6 identical balls are to be placed in these small squares such that each of the 3 rows gets at least 1 ball. 1 ball in 1 square only. In how many different ways this can be done? Now listen to me carefully. Here suppose this is a square and it is having 9 identical small squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we have 6 balls. Now all these 6 balls are really identical, so that really doesn't matter which ball gets what place, which place, right? Ultimately the place is important. Okay, now each and every row should get at least 1 ball, right? This is first row, second and third. First of all, what I do is I pick up 1 ball and I place it over here. Okay, now 1 ball I have placed. I'm left with now 5 balls, right? Now these 5 balls I arranged in these 6 places, right? So from these 6 places I choose 5, right? These are 6 places, but we have just 5 balls. So from these 6 I choose 5 balls. So that is, and since the balls are identical, there will not be 5 factorial ways to arrange them, right? There will be just single way. You just choose the places and put the balls at any place. So there are 6 ways. 65 means 6 ways. For this place 6 ways, for this place 6 ways, for this place 6 ways. So 6 into 3, 18 ways, right? Now in this case we are just putting 1 ball in column A. That's the first column, right? And the second column and the third column together they are having 5 balls, right? So one column must be having 3 balls and other must be having 2 balls, right? Now what we do is the same case is with the other columns also. Suppose I just put, instead of over here, I put one ball in the column, the second row. Now the remaining options as it is. So once again we have 18 choices. Now I put the one ball over here, and these two rows will have the 5 remaining balls. So once again 18. In all there will be 54 ways, right? I repeat, what I do is I just pick up one ball, I put it over here in the first place, then I'm not putting anywhere over here, right? So one ball is here, remaining 5 balls are occupied over here. From 6 we need to select 5 places, so in all there will be 6 options. Okay, for again I'm not putting anything over here, I'm just putting one ball in this row. Okay, nothing is here, nothing is here. Again the same thing, and for the third case the same thing, right? So in all 6C5, that is 6 ways for first position, second position, third position, in all into 3. So 6 into 3, 18. When we are 18 ways will be there when we are putting just one ball in first row, right? In the first row we have 3 positions, that's why into 3 we are doing. Okay, similarly for second row, similarly for the third row. So in all there will be 54 ways. Okay. Now we see this problem. There are 3 parallel straight lines. 2 points A and B are marked on the first line, points C and D are marked on the second line, and points E and F are marked on the third line. Each of these 6 points can move to any position on its respective straight line. We have to consider the following statements. The maximum number of triangles that can be drawn by joining these points is 18. The minimum number of triangles that can be drawn by joining these points is 0. Now the problem is simple. See, we have 3 lines, 1, 2 and 3. We have 2 points over here, 2 points over here, 2 points over here. 2 points A and B on the first line, C and D on the second line, and E and F on the third line. So precisely we have 6 points, and out of these 6, no 3 are collinear, right? Out of these 6, no 3 are collinear, right? So how many triangles we can draw? That is 6C3. Maximum number of triangles will be 6C3. 6 points we have. A triangle takes 3 points, 3 non-collinear points, so it is 6C3. So 6 into 5 into 4 by 3 factorial, that is 6. So maximum number of triangles that is possible is 20, right? So this first statement is definitely wrong. Now since we don't have 3 points collinear, right? So minimum 1 triangle we will get. Okay, 0 is not possible because we don't have 3 consecutive points or 3 collinear points, right? So both the statements are wrong. I hope you are getting it. Now we see this problem. All the 6 letters of the name Sachin are arranged to form different words without repeating any letter in any word. The words so formed are then arranged as in a dictionary. What will be the position of the word Sachin in that sequence? Now there are 6 letters, right? So obviously total number of words may be meaningful or may not be meaningful. We will be getting is 6 factorial, that is 720, right? So if we arrange all the words in dictionary order, the first set of words will start from A, right? Now how do we calculate this? The first letter is A. Remaining 5 letters can be arranged in 5 factorial ways. So that's 120 letters, 120 words, right? Now 120 words will be there beginning with A. After A in dictionary we get C. Once again we'll get 5 factorial, that is 120 words beginning with C. Similarly beginning with H, then I and then N. So 120, 120, 120, right? So in all it is 120 into 5, 600. Now the next letter or the next set of words, it will start from S. Okay. Now out of remaining letters A, C, H, I, N, you can see that ACHINN. They are already in dictionary order, right? So 600 words from ACHINN, and the next word will definitely be Sachin itself, right? So what will be the rank of Sachin? That is 601. Okay, pretty easy and interesting one. Now friends, let's see this problem. A person X has 4 notes of 1 to 5, rupees 1 to 5 and 10 denomination. The number of different sums of money he can form from them is. Now that's going to be really an interesting and challenging problem. Now just listen to me carefully. Now various sums can be obtained, obviously. Now how do we find that? See, first of all, he can take one of each denomination, one note of each denomination. Now since he has 4 notes of different denomination, so he'll be getting 4C1 sums, right? 4 notes and each is taking like 1 in quantity, right? So in all 4 sums he can get, that is 1, 2, 5 and 10, right? Now next, if he takes 2 notes, right? Now 2 notes, that means he'll be getting 4C2 combination. 4C2 combination, that means 1 2 1 5 1 10 2 5 2 10 and 5 10. So he'll be getting 6 combination if he chooses 2 notes, right? Similarly, if he takes 3 notes, suppose 1 to 5 1 to 10 2 5 10 1 5 10, something like that, right? And the fourth sum if he takes all the 4 notes. So in all he'll be getting these many combinations, or these many combinations will provide different sums. Okay, just taking 1 note of each kind, 2 notes is making 2 combination of 2 notes, and all the combination will provide different sums, because 1 and 2 is different from 2 and 5, and this is different from 5 and 10, right? Similarly 4C3 if he is taking 3 notes, and 4C4 if he is taking all the 4 notes. So that's 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 1, and that is actually 15. I hope that's clear to you. One more challenging problem we have. In a carom board competition, M boys and girls of a school where M is greater than N is greater than 1 participate, in which every student has to play one game with other. Out of the total games played, it was found that 221 games, one player was a boy and other was a girl. Consider the following statements, and we have to check the validity of these statements, whether 1 or 2 is correct or not, right? How many of them are correct, or maybe nothing is correct. Okay, so for that, first of all, let's see there are M boys and N girls. Okay, and in all, in 221 games, one player was a boy and other was a girl. Now that means out of M boys, one boy will be chosen in MC1 ways and one girl will be chosen in NC1 ways, right? So in all, M into N games will be there, and this M into N is nothing but 221. One boy and one girl. Out of M boys we are selecting one boy, out of N girls we are selecting one girl, right? So we'll be getting total M into N combination, which is given to us as 221. Now definitely 221 is a weird number. Actually it is 13 into 17, that is 221. Since it is not multiple of 3, 4, 5, so you just have to check. So you'll be getting, it is actually 13 into 17. If you divide it by 13, you'll get 17. So precisely it is 13 into 17. Now 13 into 17 is 221. Now out of them, which one is M and which one is N? We do not get any other combination of from where we get multiplication as 221. Since 13 and 17, both of them are prime numbers, you cannot get any other factors of 221. Okay, the only other option is 1 into 221, but both boys and girls are more than one, that's already given. So we are left with just one combination. Now which of them is M and which of them is N, that we have to find out. Now we are already given that M is greater than N. That means M is 17 and N is 13. That means 17 boys and 13 girls. That's pretty sure, right? So if 17 boys are there, 13 girls are there, that means in all there are 30 students. So this statement is correct. Okay. Now number of games in which both players were girls. Now if both the players were girls, that means from these 13 students, these are girls. From these 13 girls, 2 girls are selected for this for these games, right? So for the games when both the player are girls, there will be 13 C2 ways. So 13 C2 is 13 into 12 by 2. So that is 78, right? So definitely there will be 78 games in which both the player were girls. So this statement is also correct. Similarly, if you have to find out that how many games were there in which both the players were boys, so that is 17C2. Okay, obviously we don't have to calculate it over here, but I'm just telling you how to calculate that, right? So precisely, total M boys, N girls, out of M boys we are selecting 1, out of N girls we are selecting 1. So in all we are getting M into N ways. So M into N ways represents total number of games, which is 221. So we are just left with one combination, that is 17 into 30, that produces 221. Right now obviously M is greater than N, that means 17 boys will be there, 13 girls will be there. So in all 30 students. So this statement is correct. If we have to find out in how many games both the player were girls, so both the candidate should be chosen from 13, since there are 13 girls. So in all there are 13 C2 combinations, so that comes up to 78. So the statement is also correct. Okay, so a nice problem. You should be conceptually clear with permutation and combination. Okay. Now this one, there are 100 students in a particular class. 60% students play cricket, 30% play football, and 10% play both the games. What is the number of students who play neither cricket nor football? Now that's very simple. Easily from Venn diagram you can solve this. This is suppose cricket, this is football. Now 60% students play cricket. First of all, we just have to find out this common data, 10% students, so it is 10 over here. Now 60 students play cricket, so 10 over here, that means remaining 50 over here. So in the complete circle of cricket there are 60 students. Okay. Similarly 30% students play football, so 10 over here, 20 over here. So in the entire circle of football there are 30 students. Here percentage will be same because the total number of students are 100. So percentage will be 30% will be 30 only. Okay, so in all 50, 60, 70, 80 students are playing at least one game. That means remaining 20 they are not playing any of these game. Okay, so B is the correct option. I hope you are clear. Now this problem, how many numbers lie between 300 and 500 in which 4 comes only 1? So that's pretty simple. Let's calculate. So first of all we calculate the numbers between 300 and 399. Right, there are 3 places. Obviously the first place will be filled up by 3, so we just have one choice. Now suppose we have 4 over here on this tens place. So 4 is over here, so we just have one option. For this third place we have 9 choices because we don't want 4 over here. So from 0 to 9 total 10 digits are there, and out of these 10 digits we don't want 4 because we want 4 only once. Right, so we have 9 choices over here. So in all 1 into 9 numbers are there, where the first digit is 3 and second digit is 4 and remaining digits are different, and none of them is 4. So you can assume it to be 341, 342, 343 till 349 except 344. Right, so we have 9 numbers. Start from 342, 349, only 344 is not there. Similarly we have 3 at this position, 4 at this position, and this position we have 9 choices. The same case, only the position of 4 is different. So that is 9. Okay. For example, 314, 324, 334, 344 will not calculate, similarly 354 and so on. So in all 18 ways are there, or 18 numbers between 300 and 399 will be there when one digit of these number will be 4. Now we have to calculate for 400 to 499. Now again we have 3 places. The first position is fixed for 4. Now we cannot put any 4 over here, so we just have 9 options. From 0 to 10 digits are there. We cannot put 4, so in all we have 9 options. Similarly over here. So in all we have 81 numbers between 400 to 499 inclusive both of them, when we'll be getting just 1 4, right? So 18 plus 81, in all we will be having 99 numbers where only 1 4 is there. Okay, so I hope you are clear. Now this question, there are 2 identical red, 2 identical black and 2 identical white balls. In how many different ways can the balls be placed in the cells, each cell to contain 1 ball, shown below, such that balls of the same color do not occupy any 2 consecutive cells? Now we have 6 balls and we have 4 places to be filled up. Now for the first place we have 3 choices, right? It can be either red or black or white. For the second place we just have 2 choices because the color of this ball cannot be same as over here, right? So if it is red over here, we have 2 choices over here, black and white. Okay, so for the second place we have 2 choices. For the third place we have in all 3 options of placing the balls, but we cannot place a ball that is of the balls of the color that is over here. So again we have 2 options. Similarly over here at the fourth place we have 3 options, but we cannot place the same color ball at this place. So again we are left with 2 options. So 3 2s are 6, 2s are 12, 2s are, in all there will be 24 ways when balls of the same color do not occupy 2 consecutive cells. Okay, I hope you are clear. In how many maximum different ways can 3 identical balls be placed in 12 squares, each ball to be placed in the exact center of the square, and only 1 ball is to be placed in 1 square, shown in the figure given below, such that they do not lie along the same straight line? Now a bit twisted problem, just listen to me carefully. I have drawn the square over here. See what is happening. We have 3 balls and we have to place the 3 balls in this 12 mini squares, that is small squares, right? Now they should not lie in the same straight line. Suppose I put up the first ball over here, right? Then the second ball should not be in this and in this column and in this row, otherwise they will be in the same straight line, right? So for second ball I have just 1 2 3 4 5 6 options. Okay, similarly suppose I put up the second ball over here, then the third ball should not be in this line and in this line, so I have just 2 options for the third ball. So what I am doing is, initially for the first ball we have 12 options. Any one of the 12 squares can be chosen, right? So out of 12 we are choosing just 1 square. Once we choose 1 square and we place the ball over here, then we are left with only 6 choices for the second ball, right, as I have shown over here. So out of these 6 I need to choose 1 for the second ball. For the first ball we have 12 choices, for the second ball we have 6 choices, and for the third ball we just have 2 choices. Okay, so it is 12 into 6 into 2, that is 144. Okay, this is just one example. Suppose if you wish, you can put up suppose the first ball I am putting over here, right? This is the first ball. I just write 1. Then this entire row and this entire column, we cannot put any other ball. So for the second ball, we are left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices, right? Now suppose second ball I am putting over here. So this entire row and this entire column has gone. So we are left with 2 choices, right? So 12 into 6 into 2. In all there are 144 ways. You need to understand this concept thoroughly. Okay, just watch the explanation once again if you are not clear for the first time. Now this problem. Amit has 5 friends, 3 girls and 2 boys. Amit's wife also has 5 friends, 3 boys and 2 girls. In how many maximum number of different ways can they invite 2 boys and 2 girls such that 2 of them are Amit's friends and 2 are wives? Now this is Amit and this is Amit's wife. 3 girls, 2 boys and 3 boys, 2 girls. Now we have to invite 2 boys and 2 girls. So we have 3 cases. What we do is we invite both the boys from this as Amit's friend. So 2 boys, both of them are being invited. So we just have 2 choices and both the boys from here and both the girls from here. So it's one way. Now both the girls from here and both the boys from here. So girls 3C 2 ways, because 3 girls are there, 2 we have to choose. So 3C 2 ways, and both the boys from here. So 3C 2. So in all 9 ways, right? 1 boy and girl from here and 1 boy and girl from here. So 1 boy, 1 girl, 1 boy and 1 girl. So in all 2 3s are 6, 6 are 36. So in all 36 and 10, 46 ways will be there when we are inviting 2 boys and 2 girls, and 2 of them are Amit's friend and 2 of them are his wife's friend. I hope you are clear. Now this problem going to be important. Concept is really important over here. A mixed doubles tennis game is to be played between 2 teams. Each team consists of 1 male and 1 female. There are 4 married couples. No team is to consist of a husband and his wife. What is the maximum number of games that can be played? So first of all, let us find out the number of teams which can be formed with these many people. There are 8 people, 4 males and 4 females, and in no team husband and wife should be together, right? Now this concept I just make over here. That's suppose the 4 husbands are A1, A2, A3, A4, and 4 wives are B1, B2, B3, B4. Now what is happening over here? No team can be formed as A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3, A4, B4. Remaining all are the valid combination. That is A4, B3 is valid, A4, B2 is valid, A4, B1 is valid, right? So this is precisely, we have to arrange all this B1, B2, B3, B4 such that no one occupies its original position. That means B1 should not come here. All other positions are valid. B2 should not come here. B3 should not come here. B4 should not come here. These 4 are fixed persons, right? You might have learned that problem of envelopes and letters, that all the envelopes should get into the, all the letters should get into the wrong envelopes, right? Suppose there are 4 envelopes and 4 letters. In how many ways we can arrange them then that each letter gets into the wrong envelope? This is the similar problem. The concept is quite similar, right? Each wife should be playing with any other man except her husband, right? So these are envelopes, these are letters, right? So this letter should not get into this envelope. All others are fine. So this is precisely the problem based on dearrangement. Now what is dearrangement? I just explain you over here. Now see here, what exactly is dearrangement? If n things form an arrangement in a row, then the number of ways in which they can be arranged so that no one of them occupies its original place. Suppose A1, A2, A3, A4 are there, then B1 can go anywhere except at this position. That means its original position is this, but in other arrangement this position should not be reflected. Okay, and B2 should not come here, B2 should not, B3 should not be here, and B4 should not be here. They can be at any other place, right? So this is precisely the problem based on derangement. And for derangement problems, you should directly learn the formula, because it becomes really difficult to find out the number of possible arrangement with this restriction. So it's really time consuming. Definitely you can do. Generally I do not recommend to mug up the formula, but in case of derangement, I would recommend you to learn the formula. Okay, and the formula is really very simple. If you have n things to be rearranged or dearranged, then that's n factorial, 1 minus 1 upon 1 factorial plus 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 3 and so on, right? If you have 5 things, then you put the value of n as 5. If you have 3 things, you put the value of n as 3 and 4, whatever, right? So directly I'll be putting the value of n as 4 over here. Okay, so it is 4 factorial, so that's 24. It will be 0, then 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 6, and since n is even, we'll be getting positive over here, so it's 1 upon 24. Okay, so precisely 12 minus 4 plus 1. So this is actually 12 minus 4, 8 plus 1, 9. So in all there will be 9 ways for this arrangement. Okay, when A1 is partnering or teaming with anybody else except B1, A2 is teaming with anybody else except B2, and so on. So in all we'll be able to get 9 teams. Okay, now for a single game 2 teams are required, right? And it is given over here. 2 teams are required for a single game. So in all we'll be getting 9 C2 combinations. So 9 teams, so 2 combinations, so that means 9 C2, that is 9 into 8 by 2, that is 36 games can be played, right? Once again, I would like to tell you that it's an important concept. Sometimes it becomes difficult for the students to understand where we use dearrangement, right? So whenever you have to arrange the things in a particular row, in a row, not particular, in a row, and the number of ways in which they can be rearranged, so no one of them occupies its original place. You need to have some practice. The best example of this particular concept is the envelope and letter problem, right? When none of the letter gets into the right envelope. Okay, so just try to understand this concept and just definitely learn the formula. Okay, it will be easy for you to do the problem in seconds in case of you know the formula. So friends, we'll be solving more problems in our next session. Do revise this session and do revise the basic sessions of permutation and combination. Bye bye.